Okay, today I'm going to be talking about feeling lost in a shifting reality. You've probably heard it before, Mandela effect. But is this real? And why do people have a collective memory, most people, of something that never existed or something that was different, right? Some people remember, for example, Curious George having a tail. But when you look at the context behind Curious George, he's supposed to be a chimpanzee. Chimpanzees don't have tails. So maybe in a previous timeline, he wasn't a chimpanzee, he was a monkey. I guess we'll never know. But what if I told you that there's still residuals of your previous timeline in the form of physical media, right? And that's why there's been a push for physical media to go away. Books, CDs, DVDs, these things still exist. However, even though people seem to want to hold on to these things, they're not buying enough of them. They're still caught in the trap of buying digital media, which actually brings me to my next point. What if AI has been unleashed on the public to scrub the internet of any residuals that are in a digital format? These residuals can be changed using AI. Because the internet, even though we want to think the internet is secure, because it's a collection of computers that are supposed to have security, these computers still have vulnerabilities, which means the internet is not as protected as you think. One of these days, I believe that there's going to be a massive data loss with the internet. We're going to lose a lot of information. Because of this, it's going to be harder to remember or tell which timeline we're really in. Back in 2012, we were told that the entire world was going to end, all because this rumor started circulating that the Mayan calendar ended on the date December 21st, 2012. There was no evidence to back up this claim, but it spread on the internet like wildfire. And maybe this was a precursor of the current AI that we have now. Maybe they did a test run of AI to see what kind of misinformation they could spread. And a lot of people ended up hurting themselves or taking their own lives because they thought the world was going to end. You have agencies like NASA that decided only after the evening of December 21st, 2012, only after that date, they decided to dispel the rumor and say, look, it was all a hoax. The world didn't end after the damage has already been done. That's because these are evil people. I believe 2012 was a ritual. They love sacrifice. They always want you to sacrifice everything for the greater good. But do they sacrifice anything? No, they never will. They'll always ask you to sacrifice. These are the people that we so call elites. They're not elites. What makes them an elite? What makes the Queen of England any better than anybody else? What makes these dictators and presidents any better than anybody else? I believe that these people are under some type of dark influence. Because no sane person would act the way most of these leaders act. Now, I feel like we are not in the worst timeline, but we're not in the best timeline either. We're somewhere in the middle. Right now, we still have some form of control, but that's slipping very rapidly. The world is changing, and a lot of people are starting to see it. Even normal people that go about their everyday lives, they're starting to wake up and say, what is happening? What is going on? Every time I turn on the news, something evil has happened again with these politicians. So then it makes you wonder, is it something spiritual? Is it something some kind of blackmail? I don't know. Back in 2012, there was a unsanctioned, and it was unsanctioned, facility called CERN. The scientific community does not believe in using this machine called a hadron collider because it's very dangerous. And it's one of the biggest machines in the world. And what the hadron collider does is it smashes particles together to create small black holes. And within those black holes, scientists can observe the effects of what happens on a small scale when you have these mini explosions. Well, these mini explosions basically created small black holes. And the reason for this experiment was to try to find something called the God particle, or the smallest known element of an atom, right? You got the neutron, proton, electron. Well, inside of the nucleus is supposed to be the God particle, and that is what creates everything. Well, some people believe that in the process of trying to find this particle, we had an explosion of a black hole that didn't disappear, it kept growing. But it was intentional. They wanted to shift everyone to a parallel timeline to try to escape some type of event. Now, we don't know what type of event was supposed to happen. Could have been the rapture, it could have been, I don't know. And believe I don't believe the earth is flat, but I also don't believe we can leave this plane of existence that we live on. So I feel like the powers that are in control of this planet, they thought instead of escaping the earth, they would just move to a different earth or different timeline where this event didn't happen or it hasn't happened yet. Or they wanted it to happen, so they moved to a timeline where this event could happen faster. I don't know if this event really killed everyone or if we escaped that event. But if it did kill everyone, then it's like that movie Inception, where if you die, you just go to another timeline where things are slightly off. Well, now you just look at what's happening today. We got the Iran war, we got the files, we got UFO disclosure. Why are all of these happening right now? It's almost like there's some type of multifaceted distraction going on to cause confusion, right? Why would they do this? And you might say, okay, it's because of the smartphones, right? Or the computers that we have. We're constantly exposed to everything that's going on. If we didn't actually look at the propaganda machine, we wouldn't actually think that the world is a on fire right now. But then it comes down to addiction. It's like we're addicted to these type of events. We want to be stressed out. We want to see what's going on. And these evil people that are in control of the world, they're doing it on purpose. It's like they're trying to give us some type of entertainment because there's nothing better, nothing else better to do, right? It's an apocalypse of strangeness. It's almost like everything that's happening right now is leading up to a final act. We're living in a movie, right? It's not enough to just watch a movie anymore. We have to live in a movie. Then you got stuff like Project Bluebeam, where this war that we're currently experiencing is either going to be stopped by the government and they'll be the saviors, or some type of aliens coming to save everyone, right? Because there's been a lot of weird stuff happening in the past 5, 6 years, right? I know it's very difficult to remember everything, right? But you had stuff like uh, demon face syndrome, right? Why would it doesn't even seem real? Why would something like this exist? And why would it be called that? Why wouldn't you call it monster face syndrome? No, you want to call it demon. Why? It's almost like there's a spiritual battle going on. The world feels heavier. We're literally in one of the darkest timelines, and I feel like it's only going to get worse. And us as the 99% the people, it's almost like there's nothing we can do about it. We just have to live through everything that's going on. Then don't even get me started on the technology. We seem to be advancing in technology at a rapid pace. But is it really rapid? I believe most of this technology that we're using today, it already existed. The government has had this technology and they just give it to us peasants as hand-me-down technology while they keep the good stuff for themselves, right? And some people want to say, oh, well, you want to have a military advantage over the other people that's trying to destroy your civilization, right? But it, I believe that they're way more advanced than they tell, right? I'm talking like 50, 60 years ahead. And all these, the, we've had tons of false flag propaganda events happen in in our history, and we only know about it now because it's been declassified. Well, why wouldn't you think that they're trying to, you know, stage something right now? I feel like we're in the middle of a stage. We're on the stage. Why do they call it the world stage? Because there's people on a stage that are in a play, in an act. They're acting. They're actors, right? They're all actors. It's almost like this entire world is fake. It's a simulation. And we can't leave the simulation. So instead of trying to leave, they just play along.